Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another session of DaAfrican Speaks, where the rise of the African is our social media Pan-African movement. Now, y'all know it has to be a special night for me to sit down and come up in here and do this 2 days in a row. It's got to be something. And so in this process, I sat down and said, you know what, we were talking about the modern day slavery, and I said it was so powerful, so potent. I broke it up in 3 parts. And so the last night's part, we were talking about understanding the game. Understanding the game, because that's exactly what they playing with us. They playing games with who we are. And as I was working on the section for tonight, my man called. Y'all know my man, my mellow, Kalonji, was sitting there saying, brother, what you doing? I'm ready to jump on in. So without any further ado, we're going to get into the topic of the day, but before we do that, he brought a friend with him. Ain't that something? I love it when they say, look, it's time for the African in us to speak. And what I do, we just open the mics and open the platform. Everybody say what's up. How y'all doing today?
Hi.
Peace, peace,
Peace.
peace.
There you go. There you go. What you been up to, my man?
Oh man, living and struggling. You know, that's what life is all about. Trying to find balance and, of course, practicing liberation theology every day
Wow.
and
Wow.
honoring our ancestors. And so, you know, that's what the greats are all about.
That's it. That's it. And you brought a friend, brother. Would you please introduce the community to your friend?
Oh wow, man! We need a drum roll. I need a
Come on,
drum
right?
roll.
Something.
Uh,
And look, this hit me so fast. I would have had music and everything for the sister. I had a parade.
Right, and I accept responsibility for that. You know, your brother can be extemporaneous and impromptu at times, and so. But this sister right here is our dear sister in Houston, the African community down here. We know her as Ayansa, and she is the creator and the practitioner of the mothership, which is a powerhouse radio station.
Mm,
Not just a radio show, but a radio station
mm.
bringing you
That's big.
cosmic music
That's
24/7
that's big.
hours a day and 7 days a week.
That's
So
it.
she is dynamic. She is a force. Everybody can see how beautiful she is, and that's just not her earth suit. That's
Come
also
on.
the energy that she
Well,
contains, and she blesses you with, and blesses the community with when you come into her presence. And she's loaded with wisdom. And so I'm going to hand it over to her as well and let her introduce herself because my grandma said nobody can do you better than you.
you come on. Say that again.
I am honored. I appreciate it. Thank you for calling me, even though it's short notice. I'm honored to be, acknowledged and recognized and given a space to
mm,
share some wisdom. So yes, I am Ayansa J. Muse. I like to call myself a creative light worker, but the main thing is 222.9, the mothership internet radio. I am a priestess of Oya. I am a reader, per se, if you want to call it that, a divinatory artist, I like to say.
mm.
I specialize in astrology, numerology. I have 6 tarot decks, and I really like to help people discover the God within.
Mm. Mm. And saying
Oh,
that, that's powerful. No, because it touches on our first point. So I want to recap some of the things that I talked about yesterday, and before we go into a deeper dive into the modern day slavery. But the statement I stated yesterday was when I showed this image of a little boy or a child behind
Hmm.
bars, a child, and
Hmm.
dealing with the issue of modern day slavery. The statement was in this the fact that we don't get a chance to mature to who we were called to be, and how being
Hmm.
in this experience of a modern day, even though we can't see it, we're not maturing spiritually. We may see maturity as something with in terms of the government says is as an age of 18 and 21. But even when you hit that age of 18 and 21 and believe that you have freedom, you have not yet matured to who you were called. And this modern day slavery hides that situation. You want to speak? Y'all want to speak on that one? Just to give them a recap of yesterday and a little bit more deeper dive. And
I'll let Brother Kalonji go first.
All right. Well, I'm gonna start it off and warm it up for her. I know
go
she's
ahead.
gonna she's gonna bring us something powerful when I do hand it off to her. But I believe when we talk about modern day slavery, we first have to define the word slavery.
Mm,
Uh, and I think we have to have a very in-depth comprehension of what that word means and what that term clarifies and conveys. Because when we're talking about slavery, you have to also introduce a sense of economics and a sense of currency, because slavery was about servitude, and a lot of times, that's really how a lot of times people function when it came to economy in ancient times.
mm,
And we're talking about not ancient African times, ancient European times.
wow.
Are you understanding? And so
Yes.
slavery is a part of their culture. We have to understand that first, that slavery is a part of their culture, but there are different forms of slavery and different dimensions of slavery. And so, you have, and so basically we understand that slavery is a form of servitude, when you don't fully own yourself.
Mm,
Uh, Somebody else owns your time. They own your
mm,
abilities. They own your strength. They own your talent. They own your future, because you got to wake up tomorrow and do what they want you to do in order to pay, them and that particular currency we call servitude. And so you have that form of slavery. And then you have a more, if I can say, diabolical form of slavery,
come on.
which is chattel slavery. And this is when you debase and you strip a human of their humanity and their divinity, and you say that they are not human, they are animal like, they are chattel like,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't own themselves. They don't own liberty. They don't have a right to liberty. They don't have a right to self determination. They don't have a right to consciousness. They don't have a right to express themselves as they would express themselves. That's chattel slavery. Right. So when we're talking about now, let's bring it
Mm-hmm.
all the way up to present day, and you put the term modern in
Modern.
front of slavery, then we have to look at slavery twofold. We have to look at it for what it literally is, and then we have to define it during these times that we are experiencing that we call modern.
Right.
And so we understand that slavery is when somebody doesn't own themselves, and not just their bodies, but they don't own their minds, they don't own their thoughts. All of that belongs to the master who they are basically serving. So when we're talking about modern slavery, we're talking about the concept of being somewhat free in your reality, but not actually being free.
Mm,
You see what I'm saying? So we're talking about free in your reality, but not actually free. And so what we're really talking about is the Matrix, brother.
come
We're
on.
talking about Neo. We're talking about living in a dream world, in a program that has been created and designed for you not to know that you
That
have
you
been
will.
stripped of your liberties and your freedoms, and that you are a free person who can decide how they want to express themselves. Uh, I mean, that's scary to think that that can actually take place, and it is taking place right now. And so I'm
Definitely.
gonna I'm gonna leave it there, and I'm gonna pass it to my sister so she can piece that together as well.
Okay. Well, here's what I get from modern day slavery. Okay. Always, number one, always respect the universal law of duality,
Mm,
meaning there's just as much positivity going on as there is negativity.
mm,
The trick is keeping us focused on the negativity.
mm-hmm.
Yes, for a certain time frame, we were robbed of our identities, our names, our connections with God. our humanity, our dignity, all of these things. But it was temporary because those people could never destroy that which they could not create, which they did not create. And what we're seeing here is a system fall apart because of people who tried to control something that they couldn't even begin to fathom. And that something is the God in us. So the most important chain to break, in my honest opinion, is the spiritual slavery. There is a reason why when our ancestors were enslaved, the first people they got rid of were the ones that enhanced our connection to God
To
and
God.
our connection to nature.
Absolutely.
And they replaced our God self with their European counterfeit, which they copied from us from Jump Street.
Mm.
So why are we in fear of people who could not function without us
Without
from
us.
day one? We
Exactly.
built this. We did.
Exactly.
Who created the GPS system? A black woman. Who created the light bulb? A black man. Who created the toilet bowls they sit on?
Come
We
on.
did.
Mm. Mm.
So we fear them for what?
For what?
For
Exactly.
what?
Exactly.
No, what's happening is the mass awakening is happening because in Ifa Orisha tradition, the term Egun means power of the bones. This is why it's written in your obituaries. So and so is survived by
Bye.
who?
Mhm.
Because we are just reincarnations,
Mm.
meaning they never destroyed
Joined
us.
us. Exactly.
Gave us the rope to destroy ourselves. And
Ourselves.
that's the rope that has to get cut.
And that's clear in regards to this is what keeps us in that state of infancy because we are alive
Exactly.
at this state and this point in time, like you said, it gives us in modern day slavery gives us the appearance of freedom. However, the institutions that are around us are keeping us from being aware of who we are.
Are
And
they?
well, it's slowly breaking down. That's going to be the third show.
Yeah. Okay.
that's
Here's
the
what I'm
that's the
getting.
third
Here's
show.
what I'm,
The spiritual warfare that conquers the construct.
here's what I'm getting at with that.
Go ahead.
Our main institutions are our houses. They
Absolutely.
can change whatever they want to change in the schools. That only puts it on our shoulders to make sure we're taking the time to teach our children what they need to know. As Malcolm X said, why are we dependent on our enemies to educate our children? Now, if these people have an invested interest in keeping us in a certain space, why are we expecting them to empower us?
Us.
That's like
Exactly.
dangling an antelope in front of a lion and expecting him not to chomp.
Exactly.
You see
Exactly.
what I'm saying? We have far more power over this situation than we're giving ourselves credit for.
Which leads and which is beautiful because that leads to the construct of what this particular and yesterday we talked about how our economic relationship in since slavery manifested in three waves, and we talked about which is the agricultural wave, the post-industrial wave, now this highly technological wave, and that
And all
leads
of it came from us.
exactly. However, the relationship we shared in that because we built everything, and I tell people, look, we are nation builders, we are kingdom builders. It's a part of who we are, and you can't do it without us. Now, in this space, the relationship in which we're sharing with the wherever we are in the diaspora, even and it's still economic. It's absolutely
Hmm.
still economic. But now we're dealing with the issue of the fact that the falsehood of us being free within their institutions. Because I can go where I want to go, I can sit whatever I counter, I can go to school where I want to go to school. It's their institutions. So dealing with the issue of, and I said dope as a term, in our community, if you say dope, you hot, you fly.
Right.
You feel me? We dope. But then I said we can use it in either or. However, and I said we're going to talk about how we are dope in stage three, or we could talk about it later tonight. But here is the issue is dealing with dopamine. how they're using technology to kill the thought processes so that we, in hopes that we don't connect to who we are. And so a deeper dive into the concept of what does this highly technological world do to our brains as we if we embrace it without the understanding of who and whose we are and what we're here to do. And so that's the deep dive in regards to what is the hold that this new technological world has on us, or seemingly. And I'm always going to say seemingly, because when just like the Matrix with Neo, he had to take he took the blue pill,
The red pill.
the red pill to wake up. And so it seems like we're all still sipping on the blue juice. We're dropping the blue pill because we're embracing the technology all in the incorrect ways. And so that's the deeper dive. So talking about, we say, we know that we're all here to build something. There's a slogan I saw. It says, I'm here to build something for the long term. Everything else is a distraction. The question is, so we know that we're here via purpose. We already know that. We are built for the times such as these. What would be the purpose that they're trying to distract us from? What is the purpose that they're trying to distract us from? Which is the question. Brother?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to what our sister was saying, is that the purpose has something to do with the rope that we also hold, and the rope that they gave us to hang ourselves. They know that their destruction is inevitable. Their destruction is natural. They come from black people. They will go back into black people. It's kind of similar to what God said to Adam in the book of Genesis when he was thrown out of the Garden of Eden, aka Africa, that from dust thou come, from dust thou shalt return. It's nothing that you can do to stop that. Their geneticists discovered it. Their anthropologists discovered it. Their biologists discovered it. Their scientists discovered it. Frances Cress Wilson, our ancestor, she wrote a book on it. I mean, which is a university in itself, the ISIS papers, that really prophesied that this would take place, and prophesied also the different mutations of ourselves that we have to deal with. And so the purpose of us is for us to remember who we are before our encounter with them, before the Ma'afa. And that just goes to say that ancient black people are ancient. Our history is ancient. I've come up with another word called ourstry. Instead of history, it's our story. So yeah, all of that is ancient in comparison to them. And so for us to go back and connect to that, and it's not even about them. It's about us just remembering who we are, right? And so that's our purpose, and we have to be centered into that concept and that way of thinking. Baba A.C. Hilliard, who's an ancestor now, A.C. Hilliard, he called it the operation of Pan-Africanism, right? Not just having African names and dressing up in African fashion and partaking in African religions and things of that sort, but to make it operational, to embody it, and to cast it out, these myths about white supremacy when you hear of them. That's what our sister just did. She put us back in orbit. Did you see? She said, no,
she sure did.
Yeah. Did you catch that? And sometimes you need that. You need to be reminded of that our power is, in sync with the universe, in sync with the cosmos, and there's nothing that they can do to stop that. Our purpose is for us to recognize it. It's kind of going back. We brought up the movie The Matrix, just like Morpheus, who was more or less like the seer, the prophet to Neo. He was trying to free Neo's mind, but in order for him to free Neo's mind, Neo had to want to free his own mind.
His own mind, right?
And once he began to realize that he had no limitations, that these limitations did not exist, that they were more or less programs and encoded illusions that really he had been conditioned to believe himself. Once he was able to overcome that, man, he was able to manipulate the matrix. And we saw the movie. He was able to do all kind of amazing things within their own system that they put him in. And that's what we have to understand, is that we are breaking down their system. It hurts for them to see us elevate above what they had declared us to be in the past, which is 3/5 of a human being.
Come on.
Now they're starting to realize they're not even 5/5 of a human being. They're literally gods on earth. They are
Exactly.
the expression of God on earth. And I'm not saying, giving us our that highest, level of consciousness and being to us, but more or less we are co-creators with God. We share in it. We have a spark of divinity. It kind of goes back to what Frederick Douglass said, and I always like quoting the ancestors and trying to identify with their realities and their experiences within this matrix. Frederick Douglass said from a child, he had knew that they were inferior and that their concepts about him were really lies. He said, I was never satisfied with their theories about black people. And from a child, I had already declared that I was going to liberate myself because I knew slavery was not something that was meant for me. This is what Frederick Douglass said. And I think all black people understand this, that poverty is not meant for us. Suffering is not meant for us. Individualism is not meant for us. Destruction is not meant for us. We know that, but we have to embody it, and we have to operationalize it in everything that we do. So I'm gonna leave it there because I can go on and on this topic.
Sister, is there anything to add in your eyes in terms of why? What are we here? What is the purpose? Go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. The reason our purpose is being worked against is because you have two types of people. You have God's people, and you have people with a God complex.
Mm.
So
That's
even
powerful.
in all the things
I
that
like
were
that.
done,
Yeah, I'm about to take some notes.
you know,
Yeah.
and even I'll go ahead, I'll repeat that. I'll say that twice. There are God's actual people and people with a God complex. As in, have you ever heard the song by the last poet, "The White Man Got a God Complex"?
All right, no
Yeah,
doubt. You
yeah,
better know it.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. And people with a God complex, we should know our value even by how hard they work to destroy us.
Mm.
Because nobody works so hard to destroy something of no value.
Mm.
So it's really all about us knowing who we are, because the divine purpose, the divine mission is for the kingdom of God to be built on this planet. They
Exactly.
built the very antithesis of that and tried to hijack it by using God's people to build their vision of heaven on earth. The world is not ending, theirs is.
Mm. That leads to the statement that we always say, and it shows so many different levels, that there is nothing more sacred than the liberation of black people. From that
And
premise,
yes, and
we
this
build
is
everything.
why
Right.
And this is why us returning to who we really are thoroughly. Now, with the practice of nature-based faiths and the wearing of the African clothes and all that, these things are good because they're portals in, they're a beginning, they're a start. But the process is never done, is what we have to keep
That's right.
understanding.
That's
We're
it.
never through growing. We're never through learning, because the absolute worst thing that can happen is that our people become liberated only to turn around and become melanated versions of our oppressor.
Mm. But then
This is where
wouldn't that negate real liberation?
it would,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
because then
Yeah.
we wouldn't be, as the book of Revelation says, the kingdom of God will be built on earth. The popular prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done
on
on earth
Mm.
as it is in heaven.
Come on.
But we can't build heaven on earth with hell-taught teaching.
Mm. Well,
So that's where we got a lot of cleansing and detoxing and regrounding and rerouting and replanting to do, even in terms of economics. Because in indigenous times,
Hmm.
we built our economy as one with the earth. We didn't take more from the
From
earth
the
than
earth
we
than we
needed.
needed.
We weren't raping Africa of all the resources. We took only what we needed because the
Exactly.
earth is a living thing. You see what I'm saying? We are cells in the earth's body. We're ants. And even on that level, Mother Earth, or as Ifa Orisha calls her, Onile, she's not playing with us anymore.
Mm.
Mother Earth is detoxing. And she doesn't care if we're black or
Or
white. You're
white.
either an antibody or a
Come on.
cancer cell.
Come on.
So every person has to look in the mirror and say, when it comes to the universal whole, when it comes to the universal collective, am I an antibody or a cancer cell?
Mm.
Hmm.
And we have to go that deep to build from there. Because any economy that's going to work, I'm talking about after all of this blows over. I ain't talking
Right.
about that no more. I'm talking about the kingdom to come. We have to be one with the earth, or she will extinguish us. And if
Mm.
we don't believe fat meets greasy, we just ask the dinosaur.
Exactly. Exactly. And in that,
Serious,
no, that's real. Real. She got rid of them.
serious.
She'll get rid of us
We
too.
got to stand up
She got rid of
for
them.
real.
She'll get rid of us too. And
We
bringing
have
it home, we because understanding that the process of awakening has to happen with action. So again, we can
mm-hmm.
wear it. She said it's just a portal. It's just an opening. But without
It's a
action
portal.
behind a greater understanding, with no action, and I always say that we are now a people that have more access to information than we have ever before. And
Right.
this is their fearlessness in regards to what they believe that the construct that they believe they put in place, where we can give them access to all the information, they're not going to do anything with it. They're not going to manifest anything with it. They may read it and become more conscious, but they're not going to be. They're not going to fall in with action. I know
Oh,
for
but many of
go
us
ahead.
will.
Many of us are. Some of us are exactly. The multitude may not, but some of us are. And so what I want to do is bring light to how and helping people break those holds this evening by giving them a clear visual of the potency of the game that they have around us, understanding the rules of it and how to get through. Because if you don't know what they're using, if you don't know your enemy, you don't know how to fight.
There it
If you
is.
and that's
Right.
clear. If you don't know
Right.
your enemy, you don't know how to fight. And so there was a conversation or a statement last night where I said you have to learn the rules to the game. And if you are playing checkers and the game is called chess, you already lost a move. And so not understanding your
Hmm.
environment, not understanding the culture, not understanding the construct of what is put around us, you can't win. And so some individuals are out there don't have a clue of what the rules are. Why can't I move forward? Why can I move ahead? Why things are so difficult? Because you haven't learned the rules yet. And so in that
Not,
space, go ahead.
I'm sorry. May I
No?
speak? I'm sorry to
Yes.
cut you.
Yeah. Mm.
Not only that, this is why I'm saying my talk coming up this Sunday for Women's Month at the Shrine is about the importance of being and staying in orbit.
Mm.
Sometimes it's not always your time to move.
Mm.
Sometimes it is your time to be still.
Mm.
Have you ever heard the gospel song Order My Steps?
Mm. Mm.
Hmm.
While you
Mm.
are working, help me
Let me
be
be
still.
still. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's not entertainment. That's a message.
Mm.
So right
Lord
now,
have
for
mercy.
us as a people, this may be our season of stillness because stillness is the time for the inner work needed. So when our time for rulership
Ashe.
comes, we are internally ready.
There
So
is,
this
Ashe.
may
yeah.
very well be our season of stillness. And with all due respect to the masculine principle, Yes, I'm gonna
What
go
you
there.
what you got to
The
say?
masculine
What you talking
principle,
about now?
because the divine masculine energy is all about protecting and the driving force,
Hmm.
and that's not a bad thing, but it
But
has to be.
I was waiting for the but.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing, but the feminine essence is about receptivity, stillness, and receiving.
Mm,
We can't be so full of our own wisdom and our own understanding of things that we can't sit still long enough to let the universe bob and weave and do what it needs to do. Because a lot of this is out of our
Mm.
hands. Our main job is to surrender to learning who we are, and that is going to take stillness. So, this may very well be our time to
Yes.
be still. Be still and let the
Those are
sharks
true words of wisdom.
mm,
eat
I'm
their
sorry.
own
Go
guts.
ahead.
That was it. Be still and let the sharks eat their own guts.
mm. Let the sharks eat
Wow.
their own.
It you said so much. I'm recalling a situation that our ancestor had. Frederick Douglass was faced with. A lot of people don't know that Frederick Douglass and John Brown, who was a revolutionary as well, for the cause. They were great friends, and if you're familiar with the story of John Brown, you know that John Brown died
Hmm.
trying to help and aid liberate those who were oppressed during his times.
Mhm.
Frederick Douglass and John Brown had concocted a plan to attack the system of white supremacy racism. But Frederick Douglass, just like our sister was just saying, understood that the timing was off, that the timing was not right. It was not the season to fight with weapons, to attack that system with weapons, and literally reached out to John Brown and corresponded with John Brown to stand down and wait. But if you're familiar with the story, John Brown and his sons and those rebels
Absolutely.
and revolutionaries, they got together and they marched forward and they fought bravely, and they all died.
Mm.
They sacrificed their lives trying to destroy that system. But I believe our sister was saying something about understanding the time. We have to understand the time. This is what we're dealing with right now in the season that we are physically
In
experiencing here.
exactly.
We're on the
Yeah.
cusp of the equinox, right? And what
Yes,
is an
we are.
equinox? This is a concept of understanding that the same amount of hours you have in the day, you will have in the night, meaning that you would have a 100% day of balance.
Mm.
Now, here's the issue. This is the only day of the year that this takes place.
Right.
Mm.
I
And
call
so
it the
really
real
we don't
new.
have 24-hour days. That it is the real new year. We don't have 24-hour days. We work 24 hours because European society has created a system of a 24-hour work day. We say 8 hours or 12 hours, but it's really 24 hours of work because you don't just stop working when you come home, especially if you have a
Exactly.
wife and children or you have a husband and children. There's work to be done. As the sister was saying, our first job, our first institution, our first social community is the house. It's the home.
It's the
Is the
home.
house. Is the house.
And so bringing this back into context, right? Uh, Timing is everything. Timing is everything, which leads us to understand that when we measure time, it's all about balance. You see what I'm saying? Everything is about balance. And that's what
Hmm.
African life and African reality is about. It's about balance. And I
Harmony.
believe, as our sister was saying, if we do the self work, and we believe this at the Shrine of the Black Madonna, which is why we have a operation in the program that teaches how to be balanced or encourages us to how to be balanced, but you have to actually do the work. You see what I'm saying? You have to be committed to the program in order to see the transformative powers of it. But it was something else our sister said. You've been dropping
A
some
lot of
bombs, and I
bombs.
don't think. Yeah. I don't. The atomic bomb can't do nothing with this information. But there's a
Hey,
passage of scripture. Oh, no, no problem. There's a passage of scripture in the epistles of Rome. I mean, the Pauline epistles, the book of Romans, where the writer talks about the whole creation. Talking about Mother Earth groaning and travailing in pain.
Mm.
And you see that allegory of the issue and the experience that our women
Women
have to
go
go
through.
through when they're
Right.
giving
Giving birth.
life, when they're getting ready to give in life,
Mm-hmm.
and about to introduce a new spirit into from the cosmos into the universe. But a part of that passage says the whole earth, the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain, waiting for the children of redemption, the children of liberty to be revealed.
Mm.
Right? And so these times of being still are crucial times for us, because it's a time and a season for us to kind of coagulate and get back in rhythm with the cosmos and with the earth, and to understand that we are a part of it. We are not apart from it. And that's how we distinguish ourselves from those who have the God complex. They don't think that they're a part of the earth. They think they're apart from it, which is why they
They
believe
think
they
it's
can
wrong.
manipulate it. And yeah, and I mean, just that very
If you,
concept. That's what we're talking about. How the
you
hell you
know,
gonna own water? How you gonna own
isn't it?
electricity?
Right. Right.
Well,
How you gonna own land? It belongs to everybody.
And
the earth belongs to herself.
right.
Because I say all the time, if you own the water, why couldn't you stop Harvey?
This is true.
Oops.
There you
Oops.
go.
Right. Right. There was
Oops.
there was a conversation that I heard with the Indians, and it was an old school interview, and she said my ancestors laughed when they asked us could they buy Manhattan. They thought the Indians' perspective was we don't own it, but if you want to pay us for it, you sure can. We don't
Exactly.
own right. We don't own it.
And let me explain something to you about one of our greatest weapons, per se. Oppressors have already created our weapon that will destroy them. We don't have to do anything. They spent centuries killing and murdering our ancestors. Where do you think those spirits have gone? Do you
Exactly.
really think at the answer? You really think they're somewhere chilling? They're
They're
not.
waiting.
Hmm.
And Dick Gregory said it. It's gonna come back through the weather. And what
Mm.
is a hurricane?
Yeah.
A
Mm-hmm.
storm that forms over the ocean. Who is in the ocean? All of our ancestors that jumped
Come on. Come
and
on.
got thrown overboard.
Come on.
You
You
better
see what I'm
know it.
saying?
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
So they had
what did
to
Garvey say?
utilize our
Right. You you
spirituality
you can
for
find me in the whirlwinds. Come on, and I will come back with over
exactly.
100,000
And even in
millions.
Eastern
And
Orisha tradition, Oya is the Orisha of the wind and the mother of the ancestors, because the wind is breath. When your
Mm.
spirit leaves your body, what do? You stop breathing. That wind goes into the abyss.
Mm.
You see that? So we don't really, the only thing we have to do is do the self work so that we are prepared when our time comes.
And
right.
that's clear understanding that standing still is an action. It's not
Mm-hmm.
inactive. It's an action. And I'm definitely going to
But
build on
it's
that
a
more
verb.
more tomorrow. It's a purpose. Um, moving without moving, growing with
Exactly.
right, growing
Because
standing
still,
still. Right.
yes,
It's
because stillness is movement within.
exactly. Now and in
Hence
that, go ahead.
hence the scripture, be still and know I am the Lord. That's
Mm,
meditation.
mm. There's work
Y'all
being
catch
done.
that?
There is work being done.
I had
You
just
know,
reflected on that scripture. Be still
still,
and know that
and
I
that
am
I
the
am the
Lord.
Lord. Being still,
Be
it's
still.
it's
Right.
it's an action.
I really believe that for our people, this is a time for stillness and doing the self work. Because when the systems, when our economic systems are recreated by us, we have to plug it back into how it was. Because if we Xerox what our oppressors did,
Right.
we face the same fate. Period.
Hmm. I like that. I like that. Xerox.
Mm,
Walamu Baruti, powerful brother, powerful black man, a brilliant scholar, Afrocentric scholar. He has a book called Center, Creating African Realities. And I mean, it's really hard to contextualize that kind of content in one statement, but that book is about us understanding the importance of being African down to the core of self. In
mm,
every form of self, we have to understand we have to be African. We cannot put on black African costumes
come on.
and
Mm.
not really embody the culture because we're doing nothing but mimicking Europeans while we look like
Africans,
Africans.
come on.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
this
he
Come
is why I
talks about
said
that in the
wearing
book. He talks about that in the
it.
book.
And see, wearing it is still important because it's the point of remembrance.
on.
It only becomes a bad
Hmm.
thing when you stop there, you
That's right.
Right,
know?
right.
It starts externally and sinks within. And when our people start wearing the African clothes, it's a way of remembering. Now it's like,
Yes, it
what do you
is.
do next? If you stop there, then you're just wearing the costume.
That's it.
But it's like, can't get mad at our people for wanting to remember, because this is a start.
Right,
You know, this
It's
right.
is
It
this is a
is.
start.
It's a form of the operation. Hmm.
it's diving deeper into who we are and whose we are. That remembrance, that
Absolutely.
one step after the other. One of the things I also wanted to share before we go and before we depart, because I know it's getting late, some of the tools that they use to keep us from remembering. And we talked about that, the word dope and technology, and realizing that they are releasing something in our brains. They are, at first they attacked us physically to affect us spiritually. Now they also are attacking us chemically without us even knowing it with the process of dopamine, which is the euphoric feeling we feel when we engage technology such as social media marketing.
Mm. Oh,
Hmm.
And
this is good. This is
yeah,
good.
This is
and so people not realizing that we are being captured. It's again, it's a distraction on our focus to dive deep into ourselves. They said,
mm-hmm.
give them more information, give them technology and access to each other, and then let us design the technology to always redirect them from what they should be using it for. And most people don't understand that the technology and all this, I need likes, is changing this personality. How is it changing? Looking for likes, comments, and shares as an individual for self gratification. How is that affecting us as we go now? Because now, like you said, we're standing still, but most of us are being lost within this dope generation or this doped
Two things.
generation.
Two things. One, two things. One, the self work again,
Hmm.
because look at what you're doing with it. Look at what I'm doing with it.
Exactly.
Look at what Brother Kalonji is doing with it.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Discipline,
Mm.
doing the self work so that when you approach this screen, you know how to use it to your advantage. You
Mm.
know how to use it for your greater purpose. And that's why the first thing I said was always remember the universal law of duality.
Mm.
Now, sure, they're going to throw a bunch of housewives and, the cat fights and the buffoonery and all if you don't have likes, shares, and follows, you're,
Hmm.
no, no, no. I mean, and that's designed, that's there for us. That can even be a tool that you use to strengthen yourself. Because without that hurdle being there, you wouldn't do the self work of saying, I love myself no matter how many likes or shares or follows I get, because I know who I am. That still falls back on our laps and on our discipline. So the way to shut down a mouse trap is to realize you were never a mouse in the first place.
Come on, say it again. Wait, before you
I
say it,
want
let me
I
drop the picture up there. I had the mousetrap ready for you.
want, cause see, I had to decide a long time ago.
Mm,
I'm not a mouse. I'm a cat.
mm,
How about that? I'm not the mouse. I'm the hunter.
mm,
The way to shut down the mouse trap is to realize you were never a mouse in the first place.
mm.
So when you realize that you're not a rat, then the rat race means nothing.
Nothing to you. Exactly.
Nothing.
That's right.
And
Exactly.
our people are coming into that. But it's a process. Just like a sprout, a seed is you see it underground first, then you see the little sprout, then it gets a little taller, then it blossoms out, then you get a fruit. It's a process. And those of us that understand what's going on, we are going to have patience with the rest of our people.
Exactly.
And we also have to understand that everybody melanated is not going to wake up.
Going to
Some
wake up.
people have to inside, and you got to leave them to it. And they don't call this the road less traveled for nothing.
Right.
And we are on the road less
Let's
traveled.
travel. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
There's a
that was
writer that I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was done.
Okay, I was gonna say there's a writer. Kind of when you talked about that seed, I was looking at this word in this particular area of information last night, talking about the writer says that the germ and the seed is the creation or the creator of violence. And when I saw that, I said, well, what is he talking about? That's kind of an oxymoron. I thought germs and seeds, seeds were about growth and development, germination process was about, but what he was talking about, he's talking about in the context of chaos taking place due to the process of development and shedding a form to take on a new form, right?
Mm,
That's what we define as chaos. It's not something that's really negative. It's something that is more or less chaotic without order. And so when the seed is beginning to grow, order is being developed,
mm.
but it's developed through chaos. And so a lot of our people, they look chaotic. They look like they're crazy. They look like they're all out of place, but that's the process of coming into place. I mean,
It is.
it's a
Mm,
journey. It is a
mm.
journey. I mean, let's use this in a figurative sense. Imagine our ancestor Harriet Tubman escaping the plantation and running through the wilderness, running through woods and a forest and being scraped up by trees and falling over rocks and stones and having to jump in a river and swim for herself. I mean, that's chaos, right? All
Yes.
in the name of getting to liberty or liberation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a process that's going to be smooth. It's going to be rocky. You may question yourself at times. You may fall into depression at times. As long as you get back up, you may feel bad and sad. I mean, this is a process of growing and developing into the person that you were before you had this encounter with these destroyers, as Aikwe Moore calls them, destroyers. Because everything they touch, they destroy. And we know that to be true. And so it is a process. And man, I can go deep. Let me stop right there because I'm about to go into Dr. Amos Wilson and what society is and how it affects our nervous system and all of that. But this is a process. And I think if we understand and be patient with ourselves. And I think kind of going back to what you were saying, Beyonce, is that we're in a season of femininity and feminine power and feminine energy that we need to embrace because the woman she is the apparatus of order. She knows how to take her time. She knows how to use time to her will and bend it and make sure that she strikes exactly when she's supposed to. The mother is powerful. She's a powerful character in the African society, and so I think we have to understand that because my wife, she brings order to my chaos all the time, and I love her for it.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that because The divine feminine energy is for the males and the men too.
Mm,
So don't
come on.
be fooled by the imbalance of, oh, women empowerment means we emasculate men and we hate men and we don't need men and all that. Uh-uh.
Yeah.
That's another tool of divisiveness.
Come on. Mm.
It's both of
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
all of
Because
us,
when we,
males, men, and women. We both have masculine and
And
feminine
feminine
traits.
energies. Yep.
We do.
Yeah.
And I like to say to men all the time, toxic masculinity has burned y'all just as much as it burned
And
us.
that's woo. Say it.
It
Say it.
really has.
Say it.
And the divine feminine is coming to bring that balance for everybody, not just women. So don't let
But
that
but
get
that's
taken out of
and that's
context
also
either.
the divine masculine. I think both energies are coming simultaneously. I don't think just one energy.
Absolutely.
Right. There's not just one energy coming. The balance
You
of
know
the
what I said
universe.
about that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know what I
Yeah.
said about that? I said there is no war. That's an illusion. There is no war of men versus women.
Right.
There isn't one. That's an illusion. The divine masculine and the divine feminine are finding their true balance, and it's just not going well for misandrist or misogynist.
Come on. Come on.
That's what's really going
And
on.
that's when we find ourselves in that complete spiritual state where we can actually manifest who we are supposed to be to move forward in the experience that we're in. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
mhm.
yeah. And I know for me, as we spoke in regards to the dopamine and everything that we feel that is pulling us away, the seed I had to plant when people were saying, "Oh, you need to be online," so and so is looking for you, this, and this, and I would look online and I did not see that which I wanted to be instilled within. And so those
Yeah.
and I always tell people, and this is where we try to talk to our own community, it's not the issue of technology, it's how you approach it and what you put into it. I had to become what I wanted to receive when
There it is.
in this technological space. So the dopamine that I need is the conversation. It is the nice artwork. It is the exchange. I said I needed to become. So if I'm going to feed myself the euphoric experience of motivation, I have to create something that moves us toward completely standing still, yet
Hmm.
understanding that there's nothing more sacred than the liberation of black people. Everything
Ashe.
I put out, I had to. We have to produce that. And if you're going to go up against this society, when your eyes slowly start opening up and you're called to stand still, know that it is a process of growth and not a process of stagnation.
Absolutely.
And I've had y'all up
Yeah.
in here for a minute. So and I know the sister said, I'm going to give you a
Man,
half hour. I
I'm
think she
just
took
getting
an hour.
warmed up.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, you said he was about to close out, so I was like, I'll hang on to the end. I don't want to dip out before you do.
Before, but I truly
well,
appreciate
that
both
just
of y'all for
calls for a
coming.
part two, a sequel.
Oh, I'm tomorrow night or next. I'll figure if y'all want to be a part of the ending of this. The ending of it is the concept of the spiritual warfare. It is how do you right? You have to you cannot combat a state of slavery in any form without the process of spiritual warfare. And that is that process of even though you think you're standing still, people say, how did you build what I in terms of what I do in terms of technology and what I know? I stood still. I meditated. I waited for the downloads. And then when they gave me the downloads, they gave me the how to. I'm not educated in this. I'm educated in the liberation of black people. And the tools I need to do that are downloaded within, so I become what I need to help us move forward. And so we can't do it
Hmm.
without. So that part 3 is modern day slavery. How to be the modern day Harriet Tubman, the process of spiritual
Absolutely.
warfare. So that's the part 3. That'll be the conclusion. Us going to war with it.
Okay.
So if y'all want to be a part, that's good. If not, Brother Jay will go in his zone and do what he do. But I truly appreciate it. Anybody have any closing words for the community before we go?
Get to
Yeah, well,
know and
I
love.
cannot leave. Oh, go ahead. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I was just saying, get to know and love you fully in all
Mm,
parts of your divinity.
mm. Get to know and love you
That's
fully.
dope.
That's real dope, right? Now, and that's not no dopamine, but you could use that statement. If that don't
Yeah,
trigger some dopamine, then that's the thing. That's some dopamine right there. That's dope.
Thank
yeah,
you.
that's the dope we need.
That's it.
But I was gonna say, we gotta say for the listeners,
Hmm.
we cannot miss this. That on March 19th, Sunday, 11:30 a.m.
Say it.
at 5309
Say it.
MLK
She about to.
Boulevard,
She about to do it. Say it.
the Shrine of the Black Madonna. We're
She
talking
gonna
about the
say it.
21st
How to?
century mystery temple
That's it.
will host this beautiful Oyai priestess who has done the work, earned
Come on.
that title,
Come
earned
on.
that position, earned that communal position, will be speaking at the Shrine of the Black Madonna, and she's going to be talking about the importance of being in orbit.
Mm,
She's going to take us to the mothership, let
come
us
on.
look around and see what it's all
Come on.
about. You see
Go
what I'm
ahead.
saying? And so you don't want to miss that. That's this Sunday, March 19th, in person, live. Come and experience our Afro futuristic Wakanda worship service.
Come on.
That's where we're going. We're going in the past and the future at the same
At
time.
the
We call
same
that
time.
Sankofa. Am I right about it?
Come on. Come on.
And I believe that's how we create balance. That's how we create balance. And so
So,
we want you guys to come out, participate. Come early at 10 o'clock a.m. We have our Best Self Fundamentals class, Best Self Theology,
mm,
where we are going to be centered in cosmic spirituality and African philosophy. One of the things I'll say in closing is that when it comes to the African spiritual system,
come on.
you had to earn humanity. I want y'all to
Come on.
understand this. You had
Yeah.
to earn humanity.
It's something you got to fight
You
for.
didn't just come here as a human. You came here as you had to earn the right to be a human being, and you can only do that through communal engagement,
Mm,
through understanding that you have a struggle and a journey to arise to the state of being your best self, right? And that you could not function all the days of your life in your lesser self.
mm.
And that's what communalism is all about. We teach here all the time that salvation is a group
Group
experience.
experience. That's it.
And so I want us to understand that we're actually doing some work here,
Yes, we
and
are.
we're making sure that we operationalize what it means to be an African and what it means to be in balance with our ancestors and in connection with our ancestors. So I'm going to leave it at that.
I'm going to say, I'm upset that I ain't there to live stream that thing. I would like to be able to put the cameras on and let everybody see what's going on. I don't know how you're going to do it, my brother, but make sure you get some footage. That's
Well,
what
that's
we
why I
want.
keep telling you, I got to get you down here.
I'm
I
trying
got
to
to
tell
get you
you,
down here. We're doing the work.
you're doing
There's
definitely.
work to be
Or
done, brother. I'm
maybe
telling you,
do a
we
segment
need
at the
you
Shrine
to
of the
tap
Black
into that Spike
Madonna.
Lee.
Absolutely. And what was you saying,
Did you
sister?
guys hear did you guys hear what I said?
What you say?
I was just doing a little bit of manifesting. I said, or maybe I need to be booked at the shrine in Atlanta, Georgia as well.
Oh, that's easy.
Just a
That's no, that's easy.
Ooh wee.
Wait. That's what? That's called the gathering. We do that better than anybody. Woo!
well, I'm
We
put in the wind.
we,
Be
we
still
might
and
have
see
to.
how it manifests.
We're gonna put that out there. That's the gathering right there. Kalonji, that'll be a powerhouse experience, my brother. If she get here, woo! I'm gonna steal it from you. Sorry,
Well,
not messing with you.
we're gonna call those things that are not as though they
There
are.
are. Hey, one love, one love. And in that space, we always talk about here the rise of the African. And that's exactly what this conversation was, so that anybody listening at the sound of our voices understand that we are searching for the rise of the African in you. We are asking you that you take time to be still and meditate and think about, visualize who you are, whose you are, and what you have been called to do. Everybody has gifts, everybody has talents, everybody has something to do or add to the liberation of our people. And with that,
Ashe.
I tell y'all one love. We get with my intro
One
ready.
love. Peace.
Y'all have a
Peace.
blessed evening.